Hi everyone. Do you also think that when it comes to street photography, we always hear about the same names? Whether they are some street photography legend or some Instagram famous photographer, it can sometimes be hard to get exposed to new work. And that's why I started this series in which I will always discuss 5 street photographers you most likely do not know about. So without further ado, let's start with the first one of this list, Tom Pitts, who, as you can see, has been shooting in some of street photography's meccas, such as Istanbul and India. Those are all great shots, but my interest in his work comes from the way he was able to use skills developed in his street photography to apply them to a work that is a bit more oriented towards a specific subject, the Cheltenham races. The work is at the boundary of street photography, as no one is really aware and warned about Tom's presence in the stands, and documentary photography, as there is a clearly defined subject to his approach. And what I really appreciate in his work about the races is the way he is able to get a very high variety of shots in a place that simply consists of people doing the same activity. They are all looking at horses racing. Some images are more intimate, some are brilliantly showing the crowd's emotions, and some focus on interesting details, helping giving a context to the situation. As street photographers, we can sometimes get bored of aimlessly wandering the streets while waiting for something to happen. And I think having a project about a clear subject can be interesting to produce more meaningful work. Of course, there is still a debate that's open if it's still street photography if you have a clear subject. On my side, I prefer not to worry too much about terminologies and just enjoy the work. Now, before jumping to the next photographer, I want to invite you to participate to this series of videos. I plan to include one viewer of the channel in each of them. So if you think you have some work that is interesting and that can inspire others, please feel free to DM me on Instagram and send me a link to your images. So for the second photographer of this video, I want to talk to you about Pierre Belhassen, a French photographer from whom you might have already seen this brilliant shot. I wanted to share his work as after creating a beautiful book about Marseille, he is currently crowdfunding his new project about another Mediterranean city, Istanbul. And it seems like quite a promising book. We often find a certain poetry in his work, whether it is in his Marseille book or the most recent Istanbul images. I also really like his use of colors and the way many of his images are asking more questions than they answer. There is always a bit of the story that is left for the viewer to imagine. For example, in this image, why is this kid wearing what looks like a skiing helmet at the beach? I highly recommend checking out Pierre Belhassen's Instagram, and if you want to support his crowdfunding, the link is in the bio. And also, if you have some money left after supporting the crowdfunding, don't hesitate to order one of my zine. The link to my shop is in my bio. Thanks in advance if you are getting something from me. Anyways, for the third presentation of this video, I want to show you the work of Davide Janigro. He is really producing brilliant images, and I'm not saying that only due to his use of the flash. Davide is an example of a photographer that will always find interesting things to photograph. No need for him to go to street photography hotspots. It seems like he is a magnet for surrealistic scenes. What I like about his work is the way he includes animals in a lot of images, like this owl photo. Like, how did he even get an owl just pop up in front of his camera? I really don't get how this image was taken, and I like the fact that it asks questions. The other important part of his work consists in candid images of his family. I think it's really a great idea to use your street photography skills to capture precious, unpaused memories of your loved ones. There is always a certain surrealism in his images, such as in this image, which was the favorite one he sent me. He also recently released a zine with bump hooks that I invite you to check out. Next up, I want to talk to you about Vladimir Khorev's work, and in particular 2 of his series. The first one being called Through the Light, which consists in abstract images playing with light and textures. I think it's a great inspiration, as it shows that taking photography in the streets must not always lead to very figurative images where a clear story is told. He focuses mostly on liminal moments, with some mystery stemming from the lack of action and recognizable faces. I really like how textured the images are, and I'm sure seeing them printed would bring that aspect out even more. The second series from that photographer I wanted to share with you is the one that is called Characters, and it focuses, well, on characters waiting at what seems to be bus stops. Again, the textures of those bus stop windows play an extremely important role in the aesthetic of the images. The whole series is very coherent. I like how Vladimir Khorev plays with the different levels of transparencies the windows provide him. I also like how he adapts how blurred different body parts of the subjects are. Again, those are quite liminal moments, people waiting for the bus, mostly no faces showing and only simple gestures to give life to those characters. And finally, for the 5th photographer of this series, I want to share you the work of a friend, Alvaro Alberto, also known as Film Fiasco. Yes, we don't discriminate, we also accept film photographers on this channel, despite their usual insufferable behavior.
Say again, I didn't hear you.
I said real photographers use film.
Anyways, Alvaro is working on a series around cats, crows, and other animals. I find it very interesting to focus on wildlife within urban environments. I also really like how some of the photos are making the animals look very human, such as when they are looking at the horizon or yawning on the seaside. There is a certain poetry in those images, and sometimes a certain tension, such as in this one, which might be my favorite one from this series. It's also a great inspiration for street photographers that are looking to shoot something else than people. And honestly, I just have a soft spot for photos of crows. I'm sure Alvaro will come up with a good zine or book mixing crow and cat images in a nice way. Surely though, he will never get a better photo than this one. Make sure to check his Instagram to understand that joke, and you can also go there to encourage him and to discover more of his work. So this wraps up this video. As you can see, the goal is not to go in depth on each of those artists, but rather for you to discover some photographers whose work might inspire you in one way or another. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as I said before, if you are interested to be featured in the next one, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks for watching, thanks for giving the video a like if you enjoyed it, and thanks for subscribing if you are not subscribed yet. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Bye. Ciao.